Have you ever found yourself wondering, quietly, maybe late at night, is it still okay to want that kind of closeness? Not just a hug or a smile across the table, but the kind of intimacy that reminds you you're still alive, that you're still wanted, that you still matter. And then just as quickly as the thought appears, you push it away. Because somewhere along the way, someone made you believe that wanting connection or craving touch past a certain age was somehow wrong, silly, or something people like us just don't talk about. But here's the thing, growing older doesn't silence your questions. It just makes them harder to ask. And for so many women, especially after 60, there's one kind of closeness that almost never gets mentioned: oral intimacy. Yes, we're talking about it. Not to make you uncomfortable, but to finally bring a little peace, a little clarity. Because avoiding it, that's what causes the real hurt, the confusion, the isolation, even preventable health problems. You deserve better than that. You deserve answers that are clear, honest, and full of care. In this video, we'll talk through 5 truths every woman deserves to know. No shame, no fluff. Just a real conversation, heart to heart. And by the end, my hope is that you'll feel more confident, more informed, and maybe a little less alone. So if you've ever carried quiet questions you were too afraid to say out loud, type "I deserve clarity" in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. Because this is just the beginning of the conversations you were meant to have. Let's open that door together. Truth number 1. Desire doesn't retire. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 72, a retired school teacher from Indiana. Sweet as they come. Loves crossword puzzles and homemade pies. But just a few months ago, she was sitting across from her best friend at lunch, fidgeting with her napkin, cheeks turning red. She leaned in and quietly asked, "Is it weird that I still, want that kind of closeness?" Her friend didn't laugh. She didn't look away. She just smiled and said, "Me too." And in that moment, something shifted for Margaret. She realized she wasn't broken. She wasn't shameful. She was human. Because aging might change the body, but it doesn't erase the need for connection. Your brain, the most powerful sexual organ you've got, still holds memories, feelings, cravings. And yes, even at 60, 70, 80, and beyond, that spark can still flicker, and it deserves to. But here's the problem. Society acts like once a woman reaches menopause, desire is supposed to just disappear. Like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, people expect you to trade romance for knitting and passion for polite conversation, as if you're meant to become invisible, especially when it comes to oral intimacy. That topic, it's buried so deep in silence, most women won't even whisper about it. Not to friends, not to doctors, and sometimes not even to their partners. But that silence, it breeds shame. So let me be clear. Wanting intimacy of any kind is not wrong. It's not silly. It's not something to hide or feel embarrassed about. It's something to honor. You've lived a full life. You've given, you've carried, you've healed. You deserve closeness. You deserve to feel alive in your skin, to be touched, to laugh, to melt into someone's arms, if that's what your heart still longs for. So here's what I'm gently asking you to do. Give yourself permission. Permission to feel. Permission to want. Permission to say, yes, this still matters to me. Because intimacy, it isn't just for the young. It's for the living. Of course, desire is only one piece of the puzzle. Sometimes the heart says, yes, but the body says, hold on. I'm not quite the same as I used to be. And that's okay. We're going to talk about that next. Because truth number 2 is something every woman deserves to understand, especially when discomfort starts to steal your joy. Truth number 2, dryness and discomfort are common, but not hopeless. Eleanor was 68 when she started pulling away. She didn't plan to. She still loved her husband. She still longed for that quiet closeness they once shared. But every time he reached out, her body flinched. Not from fear, not from lack of love, but because it hurt. And she didn't talk about it, not to him, not to anyone. She just slowly began avoiding the touch she used to welcome. Until one day, during a routine checkup, a nurse, another woman, maybe in her 50s, leaned in and gently asked, "Have you tried a non-hormonal gel? You'd be surprised what a difference it makes." That night, Eleanor cried, not from pain, but from the quiet relief of finally feeling seen. That one small suggestion, it gave her back something she thought was gone for good. Now here's the plain truth. After menopause, your estrogen levels drop. That's natural. And when that happens, your body produces less moisture, including in the delicate areas that make intimacy feel warm, soft, and safe. So what once felt welcoming can start to feel dry, tight, even painful, especially during oral intimacy, where sensitivity is high and moisture matters most. And sadly, many women, maybe even you, mistake this change as a sign that their intimate life is over. They think, maybe I've just outgrown all this. But hear me now, you haven't. Dryness is not the end. It's not a stop sign. It's a signal, a quiet whisper from your body saying, I still need care, just a little differently now. And the good news? There are gentle, natural, and non-invasive ways to answer that need. Non-hormonal lubricants, right off the pharmacy shelf, can make a world of difference. Some are water-based, others are plant-based. Some are even pH-balanced, made especially for women in their 60s and 70s. It's not about chasing youth. It's about restoring comfort. And don't forget the basics. Hydration matters. Drinking water supports every part of your body, including those tender tissues. And when it comes to foreplay, don't rush. Take your time. Breathe. Explore what feels good to you here and now in this new stage of life. And if you're still unsure, talk to a doctor who truly listens, someone who understands the real concerns, not just the surface ones. There are creams, gels, even pelvic therapy. And no, none of it makes you weak or needy. It makes you wise. You've adapted so many parts of your life as you've grown older. Adapting your intimacy is no different. It's just one more way to take care of yourself. Now, let's take it a step further, because even when you are feeling ready, emotionally and physically, there's something else to think about. Something that's rarely discussed, but deeply important. Let's talk about hygiene. Not the kind they taught in health class, but the kind that protects your comfort and your health during oral intimacy. Because when it comes to staying well, what you and your partner do before the act can matter just as much as the act itself. Truth number 3, hygiene plays a bigger role than you think. Joanne was 74 when she began noticing something off. She wasn't sexually active in the way most people think. There was no penetration, just quiet, tender moments with her longtime partner. Moments that felt safe, gentle, loving. But afterward, she kept getting infections. It started with a bit of itching. Then came a burning sensation. Then, another uncomfortable trip to the doctor. But this time, her doctor didn't brush it off. She leaned in and gently asked, Joanne, are you and your partner engaging in any kind of oral intimacy? Joanne froze. No one had ever asked her that. Not in all her years of checkups, and certainly not with that kind of calm understanding. When Joanne nodded, her doctor said something she would never forget. It's more common than you think, but it's also preventable. You see, oral intimacy can carry bacteria from the mouth directly to the vaginal area. And while that might not be a big issue when you're younger and your immune system is strong, as we age, the body doesn't bounce back quite as quickly. Even something as simple as oral bacteria can lead to discomfort. Urinary tract infections, yeast infections. And here's the part most people never hear. It's not just about your partner's mouth. It's about your whole routine. Think about it this way. You wouldn't drink from a dirty glass, right? So why wouldn't you give your most delicate parts the same care and respect? One of the biggest myths out there is this. If there's no intercourse, there's no risk. But that's simply not true. Infections like herpes, HPV, and even bacteria that lead to UTIs can all be passed through oral contact. And many women, because no one ever told them, never make the connection. So here's what you can do. Start simple. Before intimacy, both you and your partner should rinse your mouths. Just plain water is fine. Or a gentle alcohol-free mouthwash. It's not about being sterile. It's about being respectful and staying safe. Next, personal hygiene. That doesn't mean using harsh soaps or strong fragrances. In fact, those can cause more harm than good. Instead, choose pH-balanced cleansers made for sensitive areas. And remember the basics. Wipe front to back. Wear clean, breathable cotton underwear. Avoid sitting in damp clothes or underwear after bathing. If you wear dentures, remove them and clean your mouth properly. Bacteria can hide in places you'd never think to check. And if your partner smokes, consider this. Smoking can change the chemistry of the mouth, raising the risk of passing harmful bacteria. Now, this isn't about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. Because when hygiene is treated not as a chore, but as a form of care, intimacy becomes safer, more comfortable, and more enjoyable for both of you. I know, we've covered a lot already. We've talked about desire, discomfort, and now hygiene. But it's time to get even more honest, because there's one conversation many people avoid, especially as they get older, and that's the real risk of sexually transmitted infections. Yes, even now, even for you. So let's break the silence on that next. Truth number 4, STIs are still a real threat, even in your 70s. Linda was 67 when she dipped her toe back into dating. Her husband had passed away 5 years earlier, and after a long season of grief, she felt ready to open her heart again. She met Richard at a local church event. He was widowed too. Kind, gentle eyes, funny stories. They took things slow, held hands, went dancing, shared quiet meals, and in time, they shared more. Intimacy bloomed at its own natural pace. But just a few months later, Linda found herself sitting in a doctor's office, hearing words she never expected to hear at this stage of life. "You've tested positive for genital herpes." Her mind spun. Herpes? At my age, she hadn't thought of that word since the 1980s. And back then, it seemed like something that only affected the young or the reckless. But here's the uncomfortable truth, one that many people, and even doctors, still fail to mention. STIs don't care how old you are. They don't retire when you do. They don't check your birth date before showing up. In fact, the rates of sexually transmitted infections among seniors are rising. And one big reason? Well, there's no fear of pregnancy anymore. So many older adults simply stop using protection. And when it comes to oral intimacy, the risks are often misunderstood or ignored completely. Herpes, HPV, gonorrhea, even syphilis. All of these can be passed through the mouth. And because symptoms in older adults are often milder or don't show up at all, these infections quietly pass from one partner to another while no one is talking about it. There's also a false sense of safety that comes with age. We assume someone older must be trustworthy or experienced or not at risk. But STIs aren't about trust. They're about biology, and they thrive in silence. Now, this isn't about fear. It's about wisdom. The kind of wisdom that says, I can love, I can date, I can enjoy closeness, and I can also protect my body. So what can you do? Start with a conversation. If you're seeing someone new, or even reconnecting with someone from the past, talk openly about testing. Ask when they were last checked. Offer to go together. Yes, it might feel awkward at first, but it's one of the most dignified, self-respecting things you can do. And if your partner resists that conversation, that tells you something too. Next, get informed. Know what infections are out there, know which tests detect them, and understand this. Oral contact is not exempt from those risks. Use protection when it makes sense. Yes, even now. There are dental dams and condoms designed to make intimacy safer without ruining the moment. And don't let anyone shame you for being cautious, because caution is not cold. Caution is care, and care is love. Protecting your health, your whole health, is a form of self-respect. Just like you've learned to speak up for your needs in other areas of life, this is another place where your voice matters. But now, let's shift gears, because this conversation, it's not just about physical safety. There's something even deeper, even more powerful, waiting on the other side of all this, emotional intimacy. And for many women in their later years, that's the part they're craving most. Truth number 5, intimacy can deepen emotional health. Carolyn had always been the strong one, the one who kept the household going, who raised the kids, who held everything together, even when life got hard. But after her stroke at 71, everything changed. She couldn't move like she used to, couldn't speak with the same ease, and slowly she began to feel invisible, not just to the world, but to her husband of 45 years. He didn't mean to ignore her. He just didn't know how to reach her anymore, and she didn't know how to ask. Then one quiet evening, they sat together on the couch. No television, no phones, just stillness. And Carolyn reached for his hand. He looked at her. She looked back. And in that single moment, they saw each other again, really saw each other. They started talking, softly, slowly, honestly, about their fears, their grief, their love. No one rushed to fix anything, no pressure to go further, just being there. Holding space, breathing. And that one moment, that simple, quiet moment, changed everything. Because intimacy isn't always about the act. Sometimes it's about being seen. And for so many women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, that's what we miss the most. Not just the physical closeness, but the emotional presence, the feeling of being noticed, of being valued, of being touched. Not just skin, but soul. Here's what science tells us. Physical intimacy, yes, even gentle, non-sexual touch, can reduce stress hormones. It can lower blood pressure, improve sleep, even reduce the risk of depression. And oral intimacy, when it's wanted and comfortable, isn't just about stimulation. It's about vulnerability. It's about trust. It's about connection. The kind of closeness that says, you still matter to me. But somewhere along the way, we were told that this kind of connection has an expiration date, that after a certain age, it's no longer appropriate, no longer needed, as if intimacy belongs only to the young. That belief, it's not just wrong, it's harmful, because emotional closeness becomes more important as we age, as our roles change, as our bodies shift, as we say goodbye to people we love. We still need to feel held, to laugh at an inside joke, to sit beside someone in silence and know we're not alone. So what can you do? If you're single, start small. Try healthy touch with a massage therapist who specializes in elder care. Volunteer in programs that offer companionship, or speak with a counselor who understands aging and relationships. There's no shame in wanting contact. It's human. And if you're partnered, begin again. Start with eye contact, gentle conversation. Bring back playfulness, even if it starts with just a memory or a soft glance. Hold hands again. Linger in a hug. Sometimes that's all it takes to unlock something you thought was lost. Because at the end of the day, intimacy isn't just about the body, it's about the heart. And there is no age limit on that. So, what does all this mean, really? Let's take a breath, and let's take a moment to reflect. I know, this has been a lot to take in. For some of you, it may feel like opening a door that's been locked for decades. Maybe you're sitting in silence right now, heart full, eyes heavy. Maybe you feel a little unsure, a little ashamed or confused, or maybe, just maybe, you're feeling something else. Hope. Because here's the truth, most people won't say out loud. You are not the only one wondering. You are not the only one craving connection. And you are certainly not the only one who's ever been told to sit down, stay quiet, and stop feeling. But you don't have to stay silent anymore. This isn't about fear. It's not about shame. It's about reclaiming something deeply human. Your voice, your desires, your right to be touched, to be seen, to be loved. Not just in memory, but in this very moment. Because intimacy doesn't expire, it evolves. And you are allowed at any age to explore what that looks like for you. Maybe that's a quiet conversation with your partner. Maybe it's a question you've been meaning to ask your doctor, but never quite knew how. Or maybe it's just the quiet honesty of looking in the mirror and saying, I still matter. You deserve a life that includes comfort, a life that includes joy, a life where you're not just surviving, but feeling, laughing, loving. No matter how silver your hair becomes, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. So here's what I want to leave you with right now. You are not broken. You are not too old. You are not past your prime. You are a full, living, breathing woman. And that means you are still worthy of warmth, of closeness, of touch, of care. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to disappear. You still have time. You still have power. And you still have a heart that deserves to be held. So if this stirred something in you, if it made you feel a little less alone, don't brush that feeling away. Hold on to it and let it guide your next step, whatever that may be. Let's quickly reflect on what we've covered today. First, desire never retires. It may shift, but it doesn't disappear. Second, discomfort has solutions. Dryness and pain don't have to be permanent. There are gentle, effective ways to feel good again. Third, hygiene matters. Protecting your health means being mindful before and after intimacy, without shame. Fourth, STIs are still a real risk. Age doesn't make you immune. Safety and communication are acts of dignity. And fifth, emotional intimacy heals. Being seen, being touched, connecting with someone who truly understands you, that can breathe new life into your spirit. So if any part of this made you pause, if you nodded, if you teared up even a little, don't ignore that. Because these truths, they aren't just facts, they're invitations. Invitations to take better care of yourself, to ask new questions, to open new doors. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt unsure or overlooked when it comes to intimacy in your older years? Was there something today that opened your eyes or touched your heart? Drop a comment below. Tell me what resonated, what surprised you, or simply write, I deserve clarity. Let's break the silence together. And if this video helped you feel seen, supported, or simply more informed, go ahead and tap that like button. Subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide, because here, nothing is too taboo. Every senior deserves a safe space to be heard, understood, and respected. You're part of a community now, one built on courage, on honesty, and healing. So thank you truly for spending this time with me. Until next time, stay wise, stay strong, and remember, it's never too late to reclaim your voice.